Awesome. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Office 365 Pulse recording today. Very excited to have the whole team back. Not a ton of updates this week, but we will jump right in. And I think since the last couple of weeks, I have had Tom go first. I'm going to switch it up and have Adam go first. So, Adam, why don't you bring out the nerd in all of us and let us know what admin things are in the in development category?
So more just a quality of life thing that I saw that I thought was kind of cool. They're actually going to allow you to migrate legacy DLP policies to the new compliance center. So one of the things that I'm sure we've all gone through and experienced before, Microsoft loves them some updates to their centers and their admin portals and all that goodness. And there's been about 12 of them where they had the security center, the protection center, the compliance center, the security and compliance center, so on and so forth. But way back in the day, whenever you created DLP policies, you actually did them through the Exchange Center, through like the Exchange admin console. And so if you did them way back then, they actually didn't show up in your compliance center, which was a little confusing because you could theoretically have two different places with active DLP policies in your tenant. So they're actually going to give you this wizard that's going to allow you to move any ones that you created in the Exchange Center that are still live and active, and then the Compliance Center, which is just, it's small, but quality of life thing. They'll make it a little bit easier, especially if you've been a Office 365 customer for like 5 years and have some old legacy stuff sitting out there. So happy to see that coming through. They say it's for release of April of this year, so not too far away. So if you do fall into that category, it looks like you'll be able to move them real soon.
Awesome. Well, I'll give one that it's two of them, but it's something that we've been talking about a lot because we've seen it move all the way through the cycles in the enterprise, and that is forms for response receipt and forms print page design. So for people who can't fill out forms when they're connected to the the internet, and when goodness, and response receipts. And so those are both really great features that are now in development for GCC, GCC High, and DoD. Really great to see those because the not connected to the internet is a pretty common thing, especially when you get into DoD. So excited to be able to see that coming. It says a release date of March, so we're already at March 18th. We'll see if they hit that or see if it extends out a little bit, but excited to see both of those hitting that first step for it getting rolled out to GCC. So excited about those. And now I'll pass it to Tamara.
All right, great. Looking at Microsoft Teams, manage meeting options. That's going to be rolling out for GCC High and DoD, which is great so that people can control who can go in and out of the lobby, who can unmute their microphones, who can be a presenter. We just didn't have this capability in meetings for GCC High and DoD, and it was really, really frustrating. It gave us very little control over our meetings. So now we're getting that control, and that's set to roll out in April.
Do I get to go now? Do I get to go now?
You get to go now.
Yay. So in SharePoint, they've got a new thing that they're calling focus mode for modern SharePoint pages. So if you've got a modern page out there in your site, you will now have the ability to do what they call focus mode. And it's pretty much like a toggle switch type thing. There's an expand content button on the command bar. And what it does is it hides the site header, site navigation, and global navigation bar. So basically it puts all the focus on the content of the page, which is awesome. And what's even better, and I'm glad they actually thought this one through, if you turn focus mode on and if you click a link on that page and it goes to another page within the same site, it retains focus mode. So you're not having to go switch page, open it up, switch page, open it up. Now, if you do go to a different site, then you don't get it out there, even if you're dealing with hub sites. But still, if you're in a site and you want to deal with content, get rid of the header, get rid of the navigation, the whole bit. I think that's going to be a really nice change. Again, that's for March.
Am I dreaming? Did this not already exist? Maybe it exists inside of lists and libraries, but not in pages?
Right.
So, yeah, and I've seen things like shy headers and stuff like that, where they've talked about being able to move headers up and down and it collapses and things like that. But again, yeah, for lists and libraries, you can expand out your views and stuff. But this is like for the entire page, kind of like the immersive
maybe that's
reader.
What it is.
Yeah, kind of like the immersive reader where you can go, okay, I'm going to see our words now. It's sort of that concept, only it's going to give you a lot more real estate. And again, if you're dealing with small screens, being able to wipe out everything except the page content is a really valuable thing to be able to do.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, another one I'll go with is Microsoft Planner. Move tasks to any of your plans. So now you can move tasks to any plan you're a member of. So this is in development, doesn't exist yet, but the comments will not move to a different plan or a different group, and the labels will not move across plans. So if you have a task you want to move to another plan, you can do that. Just the comments and the labels won't go, which makes sense if you're just trying to move the task around, so it won't go from group to group. So that's something that they're working on there. So something that's in development. So Adam, anything else for you in development?
So it's probably worth mentioning. So we didn't get together for a show last week, but there was a ton of Edge updates. Like it was surprisingly like grand total there was 30 things that we had to talk about, and 20 of them were Edge. And so like it was one of those things that we also see more Edge updates coming out here. So I'm not going to go through all the other stuff, but two things of note that they have announced for in development. Although it's worth noting, this is in development all the way out in September of this year, so it's pretty far out. But basically, with Edge version 94, they're going to change how they're doing the update cycles to Edge. So there'll be a 4-week regular update to what they call major versions, and there'll be an 8-week channeled update to what they call extended stable version. So if you just want to get the newest thing coming out, you'll be on a 4-week cycle, or every 4 weeks, which is roughly a month, right? You'll get a new major version of Edge. And if you're more concerned about making sure it's working right, maybe you're in an enterprise environment that you need a little bit more control, you can also come version 94, go on to what they call the extended stable release, where once every 8 weeks or roughly 2 months, you'll get an update that's just the stable stuff they know that's going to work. And so updates slightly less often, but it's probably more stable. Interesting of note that they even pointed this out, because I thought this was kind of cool, because the security person in me, whenever I hear you on an 8-week cycle, like 8 weeks is pretty far out. So if you're going through and you're doing an 8-week cycle, my worry is, well, what happens if they find a 0-day bug? Do I just then have 7 days that I'm sitting there and waking? They actually even note for the 8-week stable release cycle, there'll be bi-weekly security updates that they'll be going through and doing. So even though there won't be major changes to how the browser's working and what it's doing until every 8 weeks, if there is a security problem, it'll get updated pretty quickly.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Tom, what you got?
So there's one here that I doubt I'll use. However, it's going to be really fun to mess with people when it first comes out. And that's the walkie-talkie in iOS for Microsoft Teams. So I believe they've had this in Android, where it's a push-to-talk experience. So if you're like out at, construction sites or the whole bit, and you've got Teams and you've got a mobile device, you can use your phone as a walkie-talkie. You push, talk back and forth. You don't have to make calls. You don't have to worry about texting. That's really cool. Well, now they're rolling that out, and it's in preview, looking at June of 2021 into the iOS experience. And I'm thinking that's going to be a whole lot of fun if somebody's using Teams on their iOS to sit there and go, hey, what you doing? What you doing? So we'll have some fun with that. I really doubt there's going to be a business need for me.
My husband currently lives next door to his best friend from college. We have Alexas connected to each other, so we can talk to each other through Alexa. We text each other nonstop. We can talk to each other through the TV, and we also have walkie-talkies, so we can pick them up and talk to each other. We're also connected on Teams, so I imagine as soon as this rolls out, we will start to do that as well. So there's no lack of communication. Plus we live a couple hundred feet away from each other and just come in and out of each other's homes. So I'm sure they will be testing this and finding all sorts of reasons to use it.
This is awesome. Yeah, I realistically, yes, in some situations, this is going to be really cool. And I think that it'll be nice that if they've been using it in Android, they can now roll it out to people who have iOS. I think for me, it's going to be more of a novelty because I don't technically have a reason to do that. But if I can somehow get the person upstairs hooked up, I could just see us going back and forth with walkie-talkies all day long. Or I would be walkie-talkieing her and she'd go, mute.
I'm on a meeting. Stop.
That's how it will play out. I guarantee it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right. I think
If this does happen, Tom, you have to end every single message with over.
Over. Yeah.
Adam, you're totally not helping.
Roger.
Oh my God.
no,
Which
I
keeps
just
me
I
calling
just
me
can't. I can't. So full forms polls in Teams meetings. It's in development to support 1,000-person meeting. So if you had a poll for that, there we go. That's coming, and then praise and tasks and task publishing is also coming to GCC. So I think those are the other things that are coming for Teams there. Tamara, is there anything else we missed in the in development, or should we move on to rolling out?
The only other thing in development is that praise and task publishing is rolling out for GCC.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, then moving on to rolling out. Adam, we're on a roll with starting with you. So let's hear it. What's exciting in the rolling out category?
Yeah, so we mentioned this a couple shows ago when they first announced it on in development, but it's actually moving into deployment for people. I actually have clients that have seen this recently. So for GCC and GCC High, the auto classification of sensitivity labels for all the major standard things, OneDrive, SharePoint, Exchange Online, is coming to GCC, GCC High. So this is basically, you have a sensitivity label set up for HIPAA, set up for CUI, set up for whatever it is. You'll have the ability to go in and say, okay, when these parameters are met, when this sensitive information type is found, whatever it is, go through and apply this label. That was something that you could not do by default in the GovClouds before, and it's got to be something that you can actually just go through and set up in the admin center. So again, all of our compliance clients that are in the government space, this is a huge win for an update, and you should be seeing it coming out to your tenant extremely soon if it's not there already.
Awesome. One that I think is cool, meeting recording saved to OneDrive and SharePoint for GCC High and DoD.
Yeah,
so
that's
that
awesome.
change is coming in. That is a good one because especially in the GCC High space where you're working with guest users, getting that out of Stream and into OneDrive and SharePoint is going to be a much better experience. So that's great. That's great there. It doesn't matter right now in DoD, but that's a great change that's coming there. So excited to see that one. I know there's only 2 left, so Tom, I'll let you go first and launched. But is there anything you want to share for rolling out since we didn't leave you much? But there was only 4 in all fairness. So.
I know, and 3 of them were GCC, GCC High, and DoD. So it's like I'm like narrowed down to 1, but it's a cool one.
But I didn't take it, so it's okay.
But you didn't take it, and I appreciate it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. So Microsoft Teams low data mode. So this is something that's rolling out. And if you are wanting to preserve data, or you're in a location with poor limited network, or you're using a mobile device maybe, and you're trying to use a video call, they're now going to have a low data mode, which enables you to cap the amount of data that you'll be using during a Teams video call, as well as establish different settings based on the network availability. So I could see where that might be really good if you're in an airport, and you don't have really good connectivity there, or, as Adam was referring to earlier in an instance where somebody is like in the middle of a snowstorm and they've got like next to no connectivity. Maybe they're using an iPhone to connect with a hotspot.
Yeah, you can turn off fish backgrounds and everyone's sitting in a pub and all that kind of stuff, and clappy hands. Yep.
So this will be something that I think will be really useful for people trying to get work done, but they're not necessarily in an optimal area to get the work done when it comes to network connectivity. So watch for that.
I think people who don't like fun will just turn low data mode on all the time.
In all likelihood, yes.
All the party poopers, low data mode.
Yep. All right, Tamara, do you want to take the last one?
Microsoft Planner, sync the messaging center posts to Planner in government clouds. And Tom, I know you do this.
Oh God,
Microsoft is introducing Planner integration for the message center to help with workflow management. So lots of information arrives in the message center and you need to decide whether or not to act on it. And if action is needed, who's going to perform the action unless you're like the only person managing all this stuff? Then you pretty much know who it's assigned to. But how do you track that task to completion? Or maybe you want to make a note of something or tag it for later. You can do all this and more when you sync your message center to Microsoft Planner. And that should be rolling out this month to GCC, GCC High, and DoD. I know this is already a thing in the commercial set.
Yeah, if you're not doing this, I would highly suggest you turn on that synchronization, because every day every day I go out and I look and see what new messages have come in on Message Center. So that's awesome. But the other thing then that happens is I go over to our planner where we're doing our synchronization, and all the new stuff is in the to-do bucket. And so we can, bucket it in Teams and SharePoint Online or all the different categories we have. And then once a week we have a meeting to go through and say, okay, so we've got this new one out there, and here's the date that it's supposed to be coming out, and here's what it's going to do. Who's going to be responsible for looking at this? Or do we just not care and we mark it complete because it's not relevant to us? Like, we delete all the Dynamic 365 stuff because we don't do that. But it really helps you get a feel for what's going on. So between that and this and the weekly recaps of the new stuff that's coming out, I remember when Jennifer first asked me to be on this call, I'm like, I don't know what's coming out. I'm not the best person for this. Now we have our weekly meetings with my staff, and they're like, so what's this? Oh, so this one is da 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 da. And yeah, we talked about that on the roadmap. And like, I'm just rolling out all these new things, and like, I really know what I'm talking about. So it's great that they're rolling this out for the government clouds now, but in a larger scale, if you haven't played with this, it's like a one-click, boom, there you go. Really need to do that. It is an awesome feature.
Yep. Well, cool. I'm going to start us off with launched. Actually, no, I'm not. It's Adam's Day. Adam, start us off with launched. But you have to hit on mute.
Cool. One of the kind of cool things coming through, and something that they've been testing and kind of danced around for a little bit. So primarily, you've probably heard this being done through FIDO2. But basically, if you have the Microsoft Authenticator on your phone, they're now going to let you start turning on basically passwordless sign-in, where if you have the ability to do like Face ID on your phone or fingerprint unlock, or even potentially just the basic device PIN unlock, that can take the place of a password to log into your system, because obviously your Microsoft Authenticator on your phone is going to be tied to your account. It doesn't go into too many details here. I'm kind of assuming this is going to have to be maybe potentially through an MDM or on a device that's inside your actual tenant. But having the ability to go through and do that technically is the most secure thing you can do, because if you don't have a password that can be leaked that people can go through and hack, then the only way they can get in is if they have your physical phone and your physical face. It becomes a lot harder for them to get into your system. So kind of a cool thing to see. I like to see it coming through this. Like I said, a year ago, for instance, you could have done FIDO2 passwordless, but you would have had to have an authenticator from YubiKey or some third-party provider. The fact that this functionality is coming to the default app that Microsoft provides for 365, I see is nothing but a good thing, and ultimately opens the door for some potential security upgrades for people to use.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tom, I'm going to let you go first so that we don't take all your items for this list.
Actually, I did have a number of things I could talk to, but I'm going to restrict myself to two on this one. So one, on Microsoft Teams, they are queuing up sent messages when you're offline. It used to be if you were offline and you sent a message, it would basically sit there for about 10 seconds and go, failed, retry. Well, no, I'm offline. And you'd have to remember to resend them when you got back online. Well, now it will queue up the messages for up to 24 hours. And when you do reconnect to the network, it'll go ahead and send them at that point. If it goes beyond 24 hours, then it will say, yeah, it's failed. Do you want to resend it or whatever? So this is great for, hey, I lost connectivity for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. I don't have to keep or stop working entirely. I can go ahead and send messages, and they're going to send when I get that connectivity back. The other thing, which is kind of fun, that I know some people have been like, really? But that is the live reactions in Microsoft Teams. So during a meeting, you can react using or doing the meetings using little emoticons, so your heart and your applause and stuff like that. And it's kind of a nice way to say, hey, I'm connecting with you. I refuse to show you my video, but yeah, I thought that was a great statement, or yeah, I really like where this message is going. It was interesting because during Ignite, they had that kind of thing, but they also had like the thumbs down indicator, which I don't believe is rolled out to regular commercial
It
tenants.
should not be.
Yeah, and it was like, I'm looking at going, there are some real trolls in here, because the person's talking and it's like thumbs down, thumbs down, thumbs down,
Yeah.
all through the entire session. I'm like, really, people? So it's all kind of positive. There's not any, hey, you screwed up, or a little poop emojicon or emoticon or something like that. But it is kind of nice to get a little bit more visual feedback if you're not able to look and see what the person's face is as you're presenting. So I thought those were both.
I would just like to say on behalf of me and Tom, we don't know why anyone would troll. That's just not appropriate for the modern office. And Tom and I think that as a whole, we as individuals need to take on responsibility and be professional.
I'm sorry. Had to clear my throat there.
All right. Tamara, what do you have for launched?
Oh my gosh. More planner labels. We've talked about this before, but now there are 25 task labels and colors in Planner and in Planner for Teams. So
Tamara
that's
likes
exciting.
that. The girl who uses a different pen on every meeting I'm with her.
I have
Love
a
that.
different pen for each client, and I color categorize my Outlook calendar. So I'm all about a rainbow of colors.
I'm not sure I have a single pen in my house of any color.
Why does this not surprise me?
I got a black pen. Black's a color.
So that's good. And then Microsoft Teams, get a Meet Now meeting link, which I don't really see the point in this.
So what's nice about that is, let's say you want to do like a Meet Now, but you don't want it like right now. You can get a link to that and then email it out to people, or drop it in a chat or something like that. So
why not just schedule a meeting?
You work with me here, babe.
So I'll say a little bit of how I've used this. I've had it before where I've had a case with Microsoft open and they call me on my cell phone, and I don't want to sit there and talk on my cell phone sitting in front of the computer. I'd prefer to just hop onto Teams, or maybe I get an email from a client that is having an issue and we want to get together or something like that. Being able to just go send out a Meet Now thing is not me going in and sometimes it's me going in and creating a meeting on my Teams at 10 o'clock at night and trying to send it. Meet Now is just easier for a situation like that. If I'm going,
you don't have to schedule it and then invite them, Tamara.
Yeah.
You can just say get a Meet Now link, and then if they hop on in 10 minutes, it's not like you had to start the meeting or something.
Yeah. It's less formal, and for me, if I'm already talking to someone but maybe not on Teams through my headset like I want to be or something like that, it's way easier. I've had it where I've had a client call me while I was downstairs smoking a cigar, and I say, oh yeah, cool, I'll get up and get on my computer and we can meet, and I can shoot them one of those, and then just when I get up, hop on that, and they're probably already there, and it's just way easier.
Yeah, the jury is out on this.
We can discuss this later.
Oh,
and just so you all know, Tom and I are engaged. I'm sure Tom would never call a coworker or a colleague babe.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that
and he's doing that to his fiance and not to his colleague.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
Because Tom calls me babe all the time. What are you talking about?
We're very, it's very natural to us because we're all very good friends. So I don't even think anything of it. So thank you for clarifying that, Tamara.
You bet. I just I didn't want anyone watching this and going, that Tom, what a jerk.
Tom, you told me I was special.
You are, Adam, in your own way.
Adam? All right. So getting back to this. So in case you were wondering, Office is now available on the iPad.
Woohoo!
And then SharePoint, the improved page and news publishing experience is launched. So if you had missing missing properties and stuff like that. You're going to get that new experience where they will easily let you publish them and put them in as you're republishing pages. So that's exciting. I think those are all my updates for launch. Does anyone else have anything for launch that they wanted to chat through?
I've got nothing anymore.
I'm good.
It's worth mentioning Advanced Discoveries live now for GovClouds.
Woohoo!
So
Oh.
so interestingly enough, this really went live in like October, November of last year. I can remember talking to Microsoft when they said it was going to be live in Q3. I'm guessing for some Gov tenants it just took longer than others because it's just now finally gone to launch. It was in rolling out for the longest time, but we're going to, because we now see it launch, say if you are a Gov tenant, you should officially have this. But hopefully it's something you had before. I know in our Gov tenant we've had it since November of last year. But Advanced Discovery is definitely a more complete solution than regular e-discovery. So hopefully all of our government friends have that now.
Great.
Awesome. Well, then to close this out, nothing too crazy and canceled. I think we have one or two new ones, but those are duplicate items, so they really don't matter at all. So meeting recording improvements and Microsoft Teams new file sharing experience. Those are duplicate items, so they're getting removed because they're duplicates, no problems there. And the Microsoft Teams live event presenters presenting from their iPad to the audience, that is getting indefinitely postponed and removed from the roadmap. So I guess somewhere in all of this doing live events, they decided that it was not a good idea to present from the iPad, and that is getting removed and canceled from the roadmap for the time being. So, but that's
Jennifer,
been here for a couple of weeks. Yes,
is that
sir.
one only getting removed from GCC High and DoD?
Let me go back and look. I thought it was.
It looks in the tag. It
Tags
says,
are just on GCC High and DoD.
Oh,
okay.
maybe it is, but I'd have to go back and look if it was. I know it's been on the canceled for a while. Maybe I have to go
Okay.
back and look at the tags from the others.
Okay.
The others and see. That's a great question, actually.
Seeing this get canceled, maybe just think of like a C-level person that's like hosting a live event for their company, like lounging on the couch, not caring at all, like, hey guys, what's up?
That's what it's meant for.
Love it.
Anyway.
Yeah, and that could be because I actually don't know, Tom, because it would be. I don't know. I can look into that and see.
I could
a
see
lot of that
Report back next week.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see where maybe, with the additional security on GCC High and DoD, maybe they don't want to expose that via.
That would be
Uh,
that would be indifferent, though. It would be the device. If the device could connect to it, why would it matter?
Good point.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll check into that.
Okay.
Good eyes, Tom. Good eyes.
Had to redeem myself after that last statement.
Thank you, everyone, for
funny.
joining us. I'm sure we'll see y'all next week. Have a wonderful time.
All right.
Bye now.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.